Hey guys, just got a report in late last night. We are still out of the country from Spain back to Bulgaria now. And I got this report. I wanted to get it out to you guys and throw a spin on it for you that you will not hear anywhere else. It appears that the FBI is now coming out and saying that Jeffrey Epstein actually never existed. He never existed. He was a figment of your imagination. The news reports were meant to be run as a joke, of course, and the whole thing was a distraction, much like Russiagate and other things. It was simply designed by it was designed by politicians to distract you for other reasons. And the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing is now, of course, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are going to come out. And despite all of the shows and information and the things they talked about before with it, they're going to come out and really let you know the truth this time, that it was simply all just a big joke. It was meant just to be funny, much like Hillary Clinton and, the whole scandals with her and her Middle East thing, and people, died because of the stuff she did. That was all a big joke too. That never existed. That was all created by AI, of course. And Epstein, as you know, was also a figment of your imagination, much like a cartoon or something like that. It never existed, and the things you are seeing now are actually the truth. What you saw before was not the truth. So we need an official report so that, much like 9/11, 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you'll still have people arguing with you that, the mainstream media, of course, is telling the truth. And it's always to be trusted because now you have the well-trusted FBI and other government officials and stuff coming out and letting you know that it's now official. I mean, there's a piece of paper with a seal on it and somebody's signature. That makes the story absolutely true because, of course, we can trust these individuals. Now, I don't want to give Kash Patel and Dan Bongino too hard of a time because it's very possible they were put in positions now, asked to do certain things, and then the reality of how stuff works it has been laid upon them, and they could be facing things where I'm pretty sure the choice is between their family or different things, or coming out and saying the things they're saying under the guise of national security or or protecting someone. Now, as you know, that intro that I just did with you there is a joke, much like the FBI official reports that came out that no one in their right mind is going to believe. And you're not supposed to believe it. There's the side of the story when you get all riled up, when you get aggravated about the government. It's called the Hegelian dialectic, if you haven't. It's called problem, reaction, solution. There used to be what people like to call conspiracy theorists that came out with these terms and things used in the past, people like David Icke and Alex Jones and stuff like that. And they would use this terminology, Hegelian dialectic or problem, reaction, solution. And people would make jokes about it, people like the Young Turks and things like that. And now it turns out that they also use those terms now because it's so real, it's so used, and now things are becoming to the point where it seems like a joke. It is supposed to frustrate you guys. This is what you don't understand about psychological warfare. Any weapon, they say, any weapon that's ever been created will eventually be used on its own citizens. And what we're facing now is, fifth or sixth generational warfare. And they're playing psychological games with you, be it the media, be it government institutions that have been hijacked, i.e. Israel. So, the there's even young conservatives now that are turning against this Middle Eastern conflict. They're turning against Israel. It's the same thing that has happened in over 150 countries over the past 2,000 years or more, where countries have turned on the political and social ideology that is carried out by a select group of people that now occupy this small Middle Eastern country. And people begin to realize it, and now they're in panic mode trying to do recovery. And Epstein, of course, if he is a agent of this country that's falling under bad media props now, things they know the way the path goes at this point after 2,000 years of countries figuring out what they're up to within the media, within controlling governments, within taking over factions of things, that it always gets exposed, and then the people get angry. I won't live long enough probably to see it, the next 50 years or whatever, but you will probably see after all of this aftermath takes place, laws get passed, people get banned from holding office because of their connections. When the deep state is exposed to be controlled by these banking cartels and things, you're going to see, if they ever get control again, people get sleepy and lazy, and they take over the media again, and they take over the school systems, and they take over everything that runs the nervous system of a society, which has happened over and over again, repeated 150 times or more. If anybody studies the history, you'll find a victim narrative will be taught to people within its own socio class, and then it will be pushed and forced to the world, just like after World War II. Nobody knows the real story of World War II and why all of that stuff took place. The whole 6 million thing. Well, nobody ever tells you that 60 million Christians were killed by Bolsheviks in Russia, and that the whole purpose of the occurrence of the things that began to take place in Germany before the war was because the German people knew what was taking place. You had Bolshevik revolutionaries taking over, like America, taking over Germany, taking over the indigenous people that live there with a different controlling system. They were bringing in pornography, sex change, transgender stuff, prostitution. They were making films and having radio shows mocking, just like in America, mocking the traditional values of the country, putting the state or government down, the people who created Germany, just like in America, the people that fought in wars and created and founded, and they all start to erase that through these NGO companies, media, and mainly entertainment stuff. We're looking at a mirror in America. It just took us, 60 years or so to start figuring out that the reason we turned on Germany in the first place, where you had Germany's leader who was the man of the year in Time magazine, and when he kicked the banksters out, suddenly an entire media campaign was run, and suddenly he was the worst man in history. So we're going to see some crazy things start to roll out, just like you just saw with Epstein being said that he didn't do anything. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here. It's like a Leslie Nielsen movie, like the Naked Gun movies. And you guys remember that. There's like explosions and buildings on fire and tornadoes and things going on. And he's standing there as the cop saying, nothing to see here. Move on. Nothing to see here. This is the joke. But understand, it's a thing called the Hegelian dialect: problem, reaction, solution. Now they're going to flip the narrative in such a chaotic and sporadic way that you almost can't believe that someone would do this. So, guys, I want to tell you, if you like these types of shows, if you like information being told to you that you already know, you're like, hey, you know what? I knew this. And the information being run on the mainstream media is kind of driving you crazy. It's supposed to try to drive you crazy. We have something called the Intel Report. In the Intel Agency, it's a ship group. You can download the app and get the information instantly when we upload some kind of report like this, or give information that can't be talked about on these social media platforms. Okay. The reason I'm telling you it existed for private members and more upper Intel people who had businesses and things that could be influenced by geopolitics or things going on around the world. We didn't have to make it public, but we decided to because of the world events are getting so crazy that no one is telling the public. And let me tell you a little bit something about these alternative platforms, right? So you have Rumble, and you have like BitChute, and you have all Gab, and you have all of these things, True Social. You have all of these reporting platforms where you saw people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Candace Owens. And you have these people on there, and that's who you see. The platforms were created for these high profile people, ex-Fox News reporters or things. They created an alternative platform. And so they go on there, and then that platform starts generating, views for them. Lots of advertisement stuff gets run on there. It's a money making process, but it's still a Hegelian dialectic. As you can see from Dan Bongino, whatever reason he had to flip, whatever reason it was, like Candace Owens, same thing, seemingly very conservative, all of a sudden, started out liberal, and now it's like these news anchors and stuff who are working for one news station and they're ultra liberal, and the next thing you know, the whole script rolls out. Oh, they flipped and decided they were wrong all along, and now they got a job at Fox News or somewhere, and they're actors. So don't get frustrated. Just realize what's happening. Realize what you're facing, and that way you can know the truth and start getting. So this is what we did. We created the Intel Agency, a private intelligence agency to reveal information. Not to go against the government or anything like that, but to provide private individuals who want to know the truth about what's going on for your personal life, for your decisions, for your business, and for your own nervous system, to be able to control yourself and know what to talk about. And know there's nothing worse than a bunch of witches and psychological operatives running programs, purposely trying to trick you, to upset, to create some kind of energy for whatever witchcraft spell they're running. It's very satisfying to be able to sit back and go, I know what you're doing. You can't trick me anymore. So if you want to get more intel on this, join our organization. It's nothing like anything you've ever seen before. There'll be a link for the app, and you can download the app. You put it on your cell phone, iPad, or computer or whatever, and you can have instant access. And there is a membership fee, of course, because if you don't do that, you're just going to end up with a bunch of trolls, bots, and all these things that make stuff so. I mean, there's literally AI bots, if you don't know it, either from China or mostly from small Middle Eastern countries trying to hide this Epstein stuff. They have bots that go in there to start making negative comments about things, and you think it's a person, and it's meant to destroy your mood or disrupt. So we have a membership fee to keep that out of there. So it's worth it to me. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. I want you to know that right away, because we have the intel already. We've had this information. We've had it to share amongst other people. We're just making it available to you. All right. So if you want in and you want to know about it, there it is for you. It'll be in the link or the description. So anyway, Epstein is this thing called the Hegelian dialectic. I've mentioned that several times. I suggest you look into it if you're new to this, about how this story will be run. So what you're looking at is now a psychological diversion. It's a thing meant to it's like you are trying to get some momentum with feeling like this whole Trump movement's going to change America and all this kind of stuff. And then they throw this out at you where you're like, this is, all this stuff seems to be happening that we want to happen. And then all of a sudden, the most important things like trusting your investigative things like the FBI to protect your country from the largest criminals is doing things the exact opposite of what you'd want them to do. And of course, you get all of these you've got these counter groups, these individuals who, so one of the number one, let me lay this out. One of the number one things I have found for the counterinsurgent in the truth movement type of thing is the people you see selling quantum financial stuff. So all of these people get rooked into this somewhere. You'll see them talking about, now I don't disagree with med bed stuff at all, but they're talking about med beds and quantum financial stuff. And then they also talk about stuff on what I call retard intel level things, where it's so obnoxious or so out there that it's meant to be outrageous and a joke. Just like this Epstein thing that the FBI put out, it's meant to be a psychological warfare tactic against you. So don't freak out because the FBI put this official report. Remember, 9/11 had an official report, which was retard level investigation and information. And there are people still sleepwalking through life 20 years later who still think that official story because it keeps their cognitive distance from kicking in. They still believe that story from the official narrative that somebody flew those planes despite 30-year veteran pilots saying that it was impossible. They couldn't do it. They took, after a night hookers and drinking, they went and took some flight lessons and took over a plane, a jet airliner with a box cutter. There's no airport security on the planes, nobody there at all with any kind of weapons, no citizens, nothing. These guys got behind a very sophisticated plane and flew it into the towers, and then the two towers they flew it into caused a third building on the side of it called Building 7 to fall like a controlled demolition into its own footprint, and was never hit by a plane. But let's not talk about that kind of stuff. Let's not talk about the USS Liberty and somebody attacking them and then it getting covered up. Let's talk about Epstein not doing anything wrong. In fact, he never existed, guys. That's what I want you to understand. Epstein was created by AI. It was a fictional story, just like Russiagate. Nobody official, no big person in the news or no political people at all ever went to Epstein Island for anything wrong. In fact, if there ever was an Epstein Island, it's not like Joe Biden didn't own an island like right next to Epstein's or anything like that. And, it's not like Michelle Obama, is a woman. And anyway. I did laugh about Candace Owens' last report and where Trump supposedly called her and said that Macron called him and for Candace Owens to stop talking about his wife's penis. And, what's the difference? between Obama's wife's penis and Macron's wife's penis. You know, why are people worried about it? You know, I have suspicions about Barbara Bush, to tell you the truth. She looks like Aleister Crowley to me, but whatever. Anyway, I'm laughing now because I'm thinking about starting to do a lot of these intel reports, kind of like the Babylon Bee, where it's sarcastic and a little bit funny, because we are at that stage now. The reports that we put out and things are very serious. And it's almost a joke anymore. And I think you're starting to feel it's better to take it as a joke than get all riled up and worried like people do, the Fox News watchers. They want you glued to that television. So this last report that just came out was meant to be a psychological operation, guys. That's it. And it's meant to make a lot of people crazy and thinking it's a way to sidetrack you from something bigger going on. Don't look at Israel. All right, that's it for today. Download that app right now, guys. You're going to get intel and reports and information that will spark. Just one report can spark something in your mind, something about health, something about current events. That's it. One thing from one report can change your entire life and your viewpoint on something where you're like, you never fool me again, you little tricksters. So we're about opening your eyes and getting that information. Download the app. I don't know how many times I have to tell you. Plus, I want to tell you too, there's over 200 videos on things about here. On here, this platform wants you to stick to some narrow niche where they can figure out, because they want to figure out what kind of advertisers to place on your videos. So they want you to talk about the same subject over and over. And I'm talking about life, talking about news, talking about information that can help save people, make someone healthy, information that can keep people's minds free, keep them in their investments and stuff. So that's what the Intel report is all about. And they don't really want this getting out there so much. As you can see how the views are typically kind of stifled. So you have to like the video for it to get showing up on your home screen. I don't know if subscriptions anymore even work. And, if you do, you got to hit the bell notification or stuff will get stifled and buried. But the best way is to download the app so that you don't have to rely on some third-party system like this who's kind of monitored by your enemy. So anyway, that's the report for today. Still overseas, noise, different things going on, traveling. I'm tired. I hope you enjoy it. May God bless you today. Stay safe, stay aware, and let some good knowledge sink in. Because there's people out there like me who are already members of this group who get it, just like you're not alone.